Hello, and welcome to the Homeschool Conversations Africa podcast. Here, we discuss homeschooling from the African perspective and the unique challenges that come with it. If you're considering homeschooling, we hope to inspire you as you take this bold step. If you're already a homeschooler, we're here to share encouragement for this wonderful journey we're on to educate our children in the best way we can. We are your hosts, Jifa Andam and
Harissa Nete Mabel.
Let's dive right into today's conversation.
Previously on Homeschool Conversations Africa.
We are excited to have with us today a friend from Accra, Ghana, Amma Nartey, who's going to share her homeschooling journey with us.
We live in Accra, actually out of Accra, a bit out of town. The first time when we moved there, this was maybe about 8 years ago. It would take me about 15 minutes to drive to work, and it was so easy. As I speak today, it can easily take me 3 hours to go to do the same distance. You know,
Wow.
it's just gotten out of control. It's out of them. Yeah.
Wow, that's
really helpful. We would have to wake them up around 4 a.m, get them ready, dress them up, and then sit in the traffic. I mean, they would always sleep in the car before we get them to school. And after a while, we started to notice, that there were some frustrations. They were always tired, just grumpy, and attitudes were changing. They were always just, things were just off. We just had to make that decision. We could have easily taken them to other schools in the neighborhood, but it's a new area. There were not that many schools that we were so excited about. So, yeah, that's really it.
Trying to get your children to the school that you want and back alone, it's like a journey every day, and that alone can take its toll on the kids, yes, and you. So that in itself is a reason to homeschool her.
A lot of people, when they think about homeschooling, think that it's a daunting task enough. And then much less doing it with a baby.
Yes.
Now that you have 3 young children and a 6-month-old, how are you managing? How are you managing to teach whilst caring for the baby? And what has that whole process been like? I'm really also curious to know about how your pregnancy was as well, and homeschooling.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't lie. It's tough, and I'm seeing this as anyone who is trying to start a business. It's tough. It's difficult, but then it's the end results, and then the freedom that we get in this journey is what keeps us going. And so usually for our kids, the oldest one, who is 8 now, he is very familiar with the curriculum. And so for him right now, he's at a very good place where he's pretty much independent and can run his day with as little interference from me as possible. But with that said, I check in with him from time to time just to make sure that he's doing what is required and learning. And then with the other ones is the same. So it's the same for my 5-year-old. For him as well. Usually I sit with him for about like an hour in a day, and he's able to, cover all that he should do. The biggest challenges are with the baby and then the 3-year-old. I start my day with them. Make sure that usually between 8 and 10, I sit with them together with the baby and my 3-year-old. For them, I know we've gotten to a place, a very comfortable place where I know their nap and their sleep patterns. And so from usually after breakfast, by the time we're done with breakfast, between 8 and 11, it's a lot of napping for the baby and then the 3-year-old. And so during that time, I'm able to focus on the oldest ones. But then we do take breaks quite often. When I need to take a break, we break and then take some rest. And it's been good because the baby also sleeps quite a lot. I think I've been quite lucky with this baby. He sleeps quite a lot, and so there's very little interference with him. But with the toddler, the 3-year-old, she's the she's the how do I put it? She's the one who keeps me, running around most of the time.
On your toes.
And so she keeps me on my toes. Once she's able to, once she has her tablet, which has, her alpha blocks and all her ABC songs, once she's plugged into that, she's okay. So I try to put her into like some 45 minutes breaks, 30 to 45 minutes of, play and tablet time, so that I'm able to focus on the other ones as well.
Oh. Thanks, Amma. That's important because this is the reality, right? You start homeschooling, you have a child, maybe a couple of years later you have to have another child. That wasn't the case for me. I think my last one was pretty young when we began homeschooling, but at least I didn't have to do the whole pregnancy and everything, trying to deal with kids. I can't imagine it. But I think what's important that you mentioned is take breaks when you need to. Moms, please don't kill yourselves. You're in no competition with anyone. Okay. This is important to remember because it's easy for us to look at the next person and think, oh my goodness, they're doing this. And some moms may be pregnant and be super moms, and others just, can't cope. So so just look at your own situation and do what is best for you and your family. I think this is important for us to remember. Amma, I don't think you answered Carissa's question about the pregnancy period.
Yes, the pregnancy. Yeah, it was difficult. I must say, the first trimester and all the morning sickness. It was hard. But then, the beautiful thing is that the kids, for the very first time, they really saw me. Saw my belly, kind of evolve from almost flat to having a very huge bump. And so they're constantly asking me questions. It was almost like, we had a whole new subject of pregnancy, just answering their questions on, asking me questions about when the baby's coming, what does the baby look like, doesn't the baby need fresh air, and all of that. So, I tried my best to answer all of their questions. There were some difficult questions like, so how would the baby come out and all that. Those ones.
That's a good
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I answered that question, properly. But maybe sometime when they're a bit older, we'll have that discussion. But it was good. We tried to get them involved in all the major milestones, and they were pretty excited.
That's wonderful. That's education right there.
Would you say would you say that using Abeka helped because maybe it's not as hands-on as other curriculum during that time?
Yes, it did so much. Usually for the Abeka DVDs, it's almost like, sitting in a class and having a teacher, stand in front of you and teach. And so usually I put them, they are all in different rooms. Otherwise, it would be very, very chaotic, having 3 DVDs or DVD sets in one room. Yeah.
Playing at the same
So
time.
everyone, everyone is put in a different place. Once I put them on, they are good to go, especially for the first two, the 8 and then the 5. And the videos are very engaging. So it's fun. It's fun for them. They do enjoy it. When they're tired, they can pause and then they will come and tell me, "Mommy, I need to take a break." And that's fine. And so that gave me that kind of freedom, so that it did. You're right. It did help me a lot. But I still had to deal with a 3-year-old. So she's not on a Becca yet. For her, we just do freestyle, her playing and tablets and just writing and singing ABC songs. So, but I did get a bit with the big ones because of Becca.
I'm sure anybody listening would think that that's like so much work. I mean, managing 3 children and 2 older ones, a toddler and a baby. And I'm just wondering, how do you keep yourself together during the day? What keeps you going? What are some things that you do to keep yourself motivated and resting and just being in a good headspace to be able to guide their learning?
Yeah. I learned about that. There's a quote I stumbled upon some time ago, and it simply said that, homeschooling is not, it's not just an idea of teaching subjects and, following a curriculum, but it's more about, having a lifestyle of learning. And I found, when I first found it, I thought it was quite profound. So having that in mind, I have broken away from the thought of I have to get all of them seated at the same time. Nobody's talking, everybody sit down upright and, all of that. I used to do that in the first year. And that was stressful. Yeah, I'm not going to do that again. And now, having this at the back of my mind that it's more of the lifestyle and getting them to know how to learn, to have within them the idea of I'm learning to learn, because that's really the whole concept of getting educated, to be able to pick up things and learn on your own. And so usually when they are tired, I tell them when they are tired, they would come to me and ask me, "Mommy, can I have 5 minutes break?" And then I would say, "Fine, take a break." But then also, what has been very important for us is something we do every morning before classes. We have circle time. We all sit together, and during this time, that's usually after breakfast, we talk about what we want to achieve for the day. We try to be, as playful and fun. We try to make it fun as possible. And then sometimes, because of how strict Abeka is, I've tried over the years, I've also learned to just make it work for us. And so when we are tired, we need to make it fun, we make it fun. There are times we don't watch the DVDs, we just, talk through the subjects. And that's the whole beauty, and not to be run by, a curriculum and all that.
Yes.
So sometimes we wake up and my oldest feels like he wants to read. And I'll say, "Okay, go ahead. I have about 30 minutes and read your storybook, whatever book you want to read." He'll pick it and read. And whenever he's ready, we'll start with maybe arithmetic or something else. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned. Because following a curriculum and following those guidelines, it's great. But then, you get tired. You get burned out very easily. And so I've just decided, we will do this and find an approach that will work for us. And usually by 10, if I see I measure the mood and the temperature in the room, I see everybody's tired, we break, step outside. The boys may want to do basketball or something, and they're allowed to do that maybe for 10 minutes, and then we all come back in. So that's how we've done it.
It's important. It's important what you're saying. We have to let our curriculum, if we're using it, has to work for us. We don't have to become slaves of it. So these are the things that we have to remind ourselves of constantly. So Amma, what are some of the things that your children love most about homeschooling? What I mean, they've had both experiences. Do they tell you that they like to be at home, or do they want to go back to school? And if they do like being educated at home, what do they like about it? What are some of their favorite things? I'm curious.
Yeah, I haven't resisted, I tried to resist the temptation of asking them, do you want to go back to school? I asked them in the beginning, I did ask. And I think in the beginning, because I was very, very new and inexperienced, I was basically trying to run a school in the house. And so when I asked them, do you want to go back to school? The response was like, it's not different. It's the same thing that we are doing. We used to do at school. And I was wondering why they said that. But, after about a couple of years later, after I have learned my own lessons and trying to relax a bit, they would always tell me that no, they never want to go back. They never want to go back to school because, I mean, in a school, if a child is tired, a child cannot walk up to a teacher and say, "I'm tired. Can I take a break?" That's not possible at least in the schools my kids went to. That would never have been possible. In the morning, if my son feels like he wants to do language first before arithmetic, or if he feels like reading a poem before starting the class, I mean, that's not doable in a traditional school setting. And so for the freedom that they enjoy now, the answer to this question for them is always no, like we want to do this at home. So that has been our experience. They enjoy the fact that they that there is some level of freedom for them. And I think there was one thing my oldest son said to me, which got me really, I'm not sure if I should say sad or I don't know. So that there was, he used to tell me when he was in school that some of the kids were not nice to him, that they would call him funny names and things like that. And then he one of those times when I asked him a question about, do you want to go back to school or do you want to stay? He would say that, I want to stay at home because nobody would say mean things to me when I go to school. So, yeah, I mean, it's been, it's something that has stuck with me for a long time. But I can't also resist the question of, so what happens when they go back, to school in the near future? Maybe
you're reading my mind. You're reading my mind. Because I was going to say, let's talk about this.
What happens when they go to high school? You will still meet mean kids and there will still be bullies and things like that. But I think that our approach has been, for now that they are so young and still growing, let's protect them and then teach them how to maneuver these hard times, because they will face it. They will face these things later in life when they're in high school or university. And so I mean, it's not about homeschooling. Hasn't been for us. It hasn't been about shying away from tough conversations or shying away from hard environments. I think it's just been the preparedness. Are they ready? Are they prepared now for these things? And for us, we feel like maybe they are not. And so let's get the fundamentals right with them, with their parents at home. And then when they are much older and matured, when they find themselves in harsh environments, they will be able to maneuver and find their own way.
Yeah, there's no
Mm.
shortage of
I
meanness
don't know
around
that.
us. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Carissa.
Yeah, see, I don't know that allowing our kids just to endure that abuse. I feel like it has become normalized now. We think that it's okay for them to suffer through it.
Like it's some
But
kind
I'm
of
not
training ground.
like it's like yeah, but I don't necessarily believe that to be the best thing for children. A lot of adulthood trauma that we carry along with us, it's from these kind of experiences. And then we have to spend a whole lifetime sort of untangling some of those things. And
Yeah.
so I think there is some good wisdom in protecting our children until they are ready, until they are confident in who they are and where they're from, to be able to face some of those things with a level head. At least that's what I think.
I completely agree with you two ladies. Yes, because I mean, let's think about soldiers. Before they are sent to the battlefield, they have to go through lots and lots and lots of training. They are not just put out there, without any training. So I don't know why we think that it's all right to do this with our children. We have to train them. That's what we are commanded to do in the scriptures. We have to bring them up. We have to train them in the right way. And as we do this, naturally, they will be able to deal with these things as they come along. They will learn about human dignity. They will learn about how to respond in love and all of these things.
Having empathy.
Yes, having empathy. Yes.
Mm.
And even, you know what? We did. If you have more than one child, your children are dealing with this because we have little sinners, right?
Yeah.
In our homes. There are no
Right
saints.
in the home.
Yes, I have 4 of them and I see this every day. So already they are dealing with it, maybe light on a light, in a lighter form, but they are dealing with this. But I think that is enough training ground. So yes, sometimes people think, oh, you're protecting your kids, you're shielding them. I don't believe it. I don't think that's a fair criticism because like you said, so I should just put them out there for all the horrible bullying stories that we hear about, these days. But I think, yes, I completely agree with you two ladies. Let's train them. Let's give them the best, even in dealing with each other, siblings. Let's keep teaching them, and they do interact. It's not like they're in cocoons. They do have children in the neighborhoods they play with. Sometimes depends on where you are. They meet children at church. Yes, all of these places. You can meet children who are mean or bullies, or even your children may be sometimes, if you're not to be. So these are all opportunities to teach and to help them grow. And yes, by the time they're older, they'll be able to deal with these situations. Yeah. So I agree. That's no reason to just send them out there just for that, just so that they have that experience.
Yeah.
So Amma,
Yes.
I think we're
Yeah.
getting to the end of our timer. We've had quite an interesting and rich discussion. I hope our listeners are learning some things just, from hearing your story. We love to interview people and hear their stories because, everybody has a different story, and we believe that there's something in there that, different people may identify with. Somebody may have had a similar experience. Even somebody may be on the fence thinking like, what do I do about this or that? And your experience may help them to clarify things. So now that we are getting to the end, I just want to ask you what advice you would give to new homeschooling parents. We like to ask this question all the time. So what advice would you give to new homeschooling parents, or what encouragement would you give to those who have been doing it just like you for a while, or maybe even those on the fence who are considering it? Is there any particular advice that you have for these groups of people?
Well, I think I'm still pretty new. Still learning. But I would say that, in all of this, what has given us our peace of mind is doing what's working or what's best for us. We're all different families. So if you're able to figure out what will work for you. Maybe for you, it would be a normal school system, a traditional school. If it works for you, that's fine. But if something is not working and you know completely that no, this is not right, just have that, spelled out very clearly, and decide for yourself, and not do not think that, oh, maybe it's going to be easy, or homeschooling is easy, so let me do it because it's for that reason. No, it's not going to be easy. It's hard, like any other venture in life. I would also say that the second thing I would also say is that you need to be comfortable with uncertainties. If you're someone who is who needs everything, all the stars lined up properly, and all T's crossed and I's dotted before you make a move, you may want to spend some time, do your own research, spend the time to read. There's an overwhelming amount of information out there. Read, do your own research, answer your own questions, the questions that you have about this journey, and be comfortable with it. When you make the decision, be comfortable with it. But if along the way, when you start having doubts, you can always go back to your reasons why, and remind yourself of those reasons. I would also say, when we started, and we were following the curriculum, letter for letter, and doing everything, every single thing it said, oh my God, I remember being so worn out. But I would say, for all the lessons, at least for us, this is what I have seen, for all the lessons in our curriculum, there are a lot of the times, there are things in there that the kids already know, and they are pretty confident in those areas. They know them, they can do it. There's no point in, having to redo those and repeat just for the sake of doing it. And so if you feel you are in a better position to tell which areas your child is struggling in, you can choose a day, maybe one day at a time, and address those difficulties. You don't necessarily have to do language and history and geography and French and all the 10 subjects, everything in a day. No, that will probably break you. So just find a schedule that works for you. If your mornings are hectic, maybe you can do homeschool in the afternoons. There are days we've done schools in the night. There are days we've done school in the afternoon because somebody, we needed to make a trip to the dentist or see a doctor or something. And that's been the beauty about homeschooling, right? It doesn't have to start at 8 in the morning and end at 3. You can start at 11 if that's what's going to work for your family. If another child needs to sleep in a little bit, you can sleep in, on some days. So for us, for example, on Fridays, the kids asked us on Fridays to have, my two oldest, actually, the 8 and the 5-year-olds, they asked to have Fridays. They named it the free track day. So on Friday, it's more about them. They choose what to do. And I have very little say in what happens on Friday. So that's what, it's working for us at this moment. Maybe for your family, you can do all day, Monday to Friday. But if you see and you monitor and see that maybe you can only do 3 days a week or 4 days in a week, fair enough. Don't stress and kill yourself.
It's not a competition.
It's not. It's not a competition. It's a progress. As long as they're making progress, that's the most important thing. Yeah. So those would be my my top tips. I don't know if that's those are. I don't know if those are tips. That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Amma, for coming on and sharing your story with us. I know you've shared your top tips already, but Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
I would also say that it's a family affair, right? Homeschooling is a family affair. I've talked to other people, other families where the husband is not on board and that wife is on board. Wife wants to do it, husband is not ready yet. So I think in situations like that, if you find yourself in that situation, you two need to sit and then really iron out the differences, because it's not going to be worth it if the wife feels happy doing it and then the husband is not. It will just be one. You don't want to start off in such a way. So just make sure that both of you are fully on board and happy with your decision. And you need to be comfortable with uncertainties if you're homeschooling. Not all the days are equal. Some days you'll be able to do all that you plan. Some days everything will go wrong and you may not be able to do anything. So just really live in the moment and enjoy. Some days my kids, look after when baby's having a good day and, he's giggling and laughing. Some days all the kids just, run around the baby and just keep him happy. And that's exactly. And that's how we've kept it at it and making this more of a lifestyle rather than a rudimental, strict academy type of thing. Yeah.
Wonderful advice. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amma.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've
too.
been enriched listening to this. I love these conversations because I listen and I learn something new every time, or I'm encouraged, be comfortable with uncertainties. That's what I'm taking away today. That's what I'm keeping with me. And I'm going to remind myself this week. I'm going to remind myself of this coming week. Yes. Thank you so much for your time, Amma. Thank you, dear listeners, for joining Carissa, Amma, and me today. Yes, we've had a wonderful time hearing Amma's story, her journey to homeschooling, and hearing about how it's going. And we hope that you've been encouraged to, or you've picked up something, learned something new. Please share this with somebody who you think will be encouraged by it as well. As always, we'll have any links that we alluded to in the show notes below. And remember to check out our Instagram and Facebook pages.
So our Instagram is homeschool_conversations and our Facebook page is Homeschool Conversations Africa Podcast. So we hope you do follow us on our socials.
Yes. So thank you once again. Thank you, Amma, for sharing your time with us. We hope that you all have a blessed week ahead. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.